welcome back to the Social Media Derby. Before we get into this episode, which is going to be a really cool one, I think, and I haven't seen too much like kind of fan content creators talking about this issue or this debate, online. So it'll be a really interesting one, I hope. But before we get into it and our special guest, for those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share if you can, drop your comments down below. For those of you listening on Spotify or any of the audio platforms, please follow, give us a 5-star review. Also remember, the audio-only platforms is the only place to get the full episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll most likely see, cuts of different episodes, different parts of this episode online. So, if you want to just listen without having to keep clicking, listen on the audio platform and then you'll get the full episode. But let's get into it then. So we've got a very special guest this week. Draco Wang. He's the Arsenal ethnic minority supporters representative, massive Arsenal fan, home and away. He's there. Welcome, Draco. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Antony, for the introduction. I've been looking forward to this call the whole week after the game that we've played. So doing great and very excited to be in this episode.
Yeah. I think it was Alan Lau from the Frank Su Foundation kind of flagged you to me because I use Twitter a little bit, but I'm not like deep into it. So, and obviously I'm a United fan, so like I'm not generally going to go looking for Arsenal content creators or people involved with the club or whatever. But obviously Alan Lau from the Frank Su Foundation, with the work we've done, highlighted you obviously as a fellow Asian involved in football, diehard fan. Obviously, this podcast covers Arsenal and Man U, so he kind of said, you should check out Draco, what he's doing. He's doing some cool stuff. So, I've been following you for a little bit, man, and I thought this would be... Obviously, it's a sad thing that, the topic that we'll talk about a little bit has kind of become a thing, but it's something that I think we should definitely talk about. But before we get into it, let's talk about kind of get your opinions on the season. Obviously, you're a huge Arsenal fan. What have you made of this season? And do you have like a prediction of where you guys will finish? Hopefully with, I'm hoping I'm on loan at Arsenal because I need you guys to win the Prem. But where do you think you'll end up?
Yeah, sure. Should I go first or should?
Yeah, go for it, man. This is about you. We blabber about our opinions every week, so we want to hear yours, man.
Right, yeah. I was going to say that when I get asked about this question, it depends on the audience I'm speaking to. If it's just fully Arsenal fans, I'm confidently say we're going to win the league. But if there's from other teams, I'll probably be a bit more humble and be more realistic and say probably top 2 would be something that we're aiming for. Obviously, if we win the league, that'd be crazy. But I think ideally we can only get the second place. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what have you made of the season so far? Because obviously we've talked about it loads on the pod. It's felt like Arsenal, you didn't quite hit your stride at the beginning part of the season, but you were getting good results. I don't think you were playing poorly, but it just wasn't quite as like last season. You guys came out of the traps so quick, playing amazing football. And this season, I think it's kind of gone the other way around. You started a bit more, it was clear Arteta was working out the system, the new players. But recently, turn of the year, I've said it, you guys have been unbelievable. But like, do you also feel that way going home and away? Is that also how you've seen it?
Yeah, same here. I think everyone knows since the Dubai training, the team came back very different. And I think compared to last season, I enjoyed this one much more just because that we started the season not as strong as last season and we didn't have like 11, 15 points ahead of City or Liverpool. So from the mental side, I wasn't too stressed going to home and away games. So I never thought that we would end up in today's position of, fighting for champion again. So I think, for me, it's always easier to chase the top than maintaining the top. That's general feeling. But I think knowing Arteta and the young team, we always had the hope and the belief that, one day we're going to end up there. It's a sustainable thing. We're going to be around for much longer. So even last season, we didn't get what we wanted. This season, we'll probably end up somewhere similar to last season too. So,
yeah, no, I hear you, man. I think Yeah, man, there's been progress. I'm going to bring Jonty in because obviously you're the Arsenal fan, so I don't want to dominate it. But do you agree with kind of Draco's analysis of the season? I know so Draco. If you haven't been watching the pod too closely, Jonty's very much a cautious Arsenal fan. He's I don't know if it's humble, but he's very cautious. So he's like, while you'll say we're going to win it or top two, I think Jonty. I'm going to let him speak for himself, but the vibe I've been getting from him is he's, we might even end up third. He kind of doesn't want to commit to anything. So, Jonty, do you agree with Draco? And are you willing to, come out on the ledge and say you're going to win it, or still you're going to be cautious? What's happening?
I mean, after last season, I'm not coming out and being super, aggressive about anything, because at the end of the day, we couldn't get over the line, and we should have, right? And people want to say bottle, whatever the word is that you want to use. We kind of crumbled a little bit and couldn't face the pressure. And I think what Draco said about chasing top is always a less pressured position than being the one chased. And I think Liverpool, Man City both have a lot more experience being the one that leads, whereas we probably have a lot more experience being the one that's trying to chase even top four for a lot of the seasons previously. So from my perspective, I'd much rather, kind of Kelly Holmes sit at the back of the pack for the first, 8-9 laps, and then last lap just peg it to the finish. And it's a bit of a shame, really, that like our last run of fixtures aren't a little bit easier than they are now. But I think if we do end up winning it, which I'm not sure about, but if we do, I think you'll definitely be able to say that we earned it, because these last 7 fixtures plus the Champions League in it and having to play Bayern, etc., is hard. And I mean, I know that people will say, ours is not the hardest of the 3 run-ins. It's definitely not the easiest, though. So
no.
I think from that perspective, you add that onto the fact that we've done really well against like top 4, the best teams in the league this season. I think I'm optimistic, but if, not too optimistic. But at the same time, if we do end up doing it, I don't want to hear anyone take anything away from it, because it's been a real hard season. And I think last season even against top 4 sides, we weren't anywhere near as good as we are this time, right? Man City absolutely slapped us in that second game that we played against them. This season it's been a lot more even, and we've got 4 points from the 2 games. So yeah, if we can just stop having wobbles against West Ham and like these other kinds of teams, then I think we've got a very good shot. But 7 games still is a little bit too long for me to start predicting anything, to be honest with you, with any certainty.
All right, but I mean, Draco said first or second. I think, judging from the response, he kind of wants to say first, but he's going to say second to keep the audience honest, because we aren't just Arsenal fans. What are you going to say, Johns? Then would you agree, or do you think there's still a chance you'll finish third?
I mean, there's obviously a chance just with how close the pack are, but I would say that we're second, because I think, I don't know out of Liverpool or City, I still think Liverpool will be the favourites because of the Klopp effect. And the fact now that they look like they might be going out of the Europa League as well gives them a bit of extra time. So I think it'll probably be a Liverpool, Arsenal, City finish, and we come second.
Wow, okay. That's interesting. Like, just my 2 pennies. I've been saying it, and it's not Liverpool hate purely. It's a little bit, because obviously I hate them. But like, I think City are the ones to worry about. They've definitely got the easiest run in, and like maybe Champions League will affect them. But I still favour them to go past Real Madrid, although that was a great game, by the way. But so I think the City effect is what, if I was an Arsenal fan, which I on loan right now for you guys for the moment, I would be more worried about the City effect, less so the Liverpool one, because I think Liverpool have done so well to really stick up with you guys, because I honestly believe you guys, Arsenal and City, are the 2 best teams in the league at this moment. And Liverpool have kind of been somehow, maybe like you said, it's the Klopp effect. I don't know what it is, but they've kind of been dragging themselves up with you guys without kind of, I don't know if they've got the squad or like the team, or I think they're not at the level of maturity as you guys have taken the next step this season. City have kind of been there for a while, so I would kind of agree. I think you guys might finish second. I think you got a good shot for winning, but if you don't win it, I think City will be the ones that that nick it from you and not Liverpool. But I don't know, Draco, are you worried about City more or Liverpool more, or kind of 50-50 between both of them?
I think I agree with you. Definitely City. I remember last game that I watched, Liverpool against United. As soon as they drew,
Yes.
I celebrated. I celebrated for 5 minutes, thinking, "Now we're top of league." And then after that, I sat down. I started to worry about now. I mean, what if City got advantage and they probably end up being the top and become the second? So yeah, I
Yeah.
fully agree with you. I feel like Liverpool's just they're missing something over there, and I'm confident that they'll probably drop a few points here and there till the end of the season. So I think the trophy's there for us to grab, but then we need to win every single game. And if we don't fully focus on Premier League, then I think City can easily just come up and take the trophy. So yeah.
Yeah, no.
Are you
Yeah,
hoping
no.
then that Tottenham on the last day of the season beat City to give us the title? Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I think after 90 minutes being United fan against Liverpool, I'm not going to support any other teams apart from Arsenal. 'Cause that was so, especially that United performance, I was thinking, oh, that's so hard to be a United fan, you know. So
Yeah, you felt my pain, mate, for 90 minutes. That's been my last 10 years since Fergie left, just constant pain. But now we'll get into the United bit now. Because I'm going to say I think you guys. I'm gonna put out positivity, and I'm going to say you guys are going to win the league. So my prediction is Arsenal win. Arteta joins Klopp with 1 Premier League, and they're about equal as managers. I'd say after that, take that Liverpool. But let's get into the United bit then. You just talked about it, Draco. This season's not been fun. I'll kick it off and just I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to work out. Man, this season's been a humbler. We've definitely not performed to the level that we kind of hoped off the back of last season. I think last season it wasn't perfect by no means. You know, we got slapped 7-0 at Anfield, never fun. We lost to you guys at the Emirates. We took some real blows. Europa League, we went out to Sevilla, but I mean, obviously, we lost the FA Cup final as well, which was the major big blow because City won the treble off the in part because of that. But this season has been such a disappointment. We sit in 6th right now. Jonty keeps asking me every week whether or not we got a chance in top 4. I keep telling him to shut up because there's no chance we're getting top 4. But what have you made of our season? And you can stick the knife in, bro. Don't worry. You can tell us we've been absolutely rubbish if you want. But yeah, honest appraisal as an Arsenal fan. What have you made of our season?
Let me try to phrase my opinions in a nice way, because usually I make banters with my United fans, so it's not the nicest comments coming from me. I don't know. I just feel like, I guess my question for you, Anthony, is that do you believe in Ten Hag and his tactics?
Look at Jonty nodding his head. All right, so we've had this conversation because I also get Jonty, my other mates who are not United fans, love getting the fishing rod out and and hooking a big massive tuna with me when they ask about Ten Hag. I'll be honest, this season has really shaken my confidence in him. I think, like I said, last season wasn't perfect, but when he made big decisions, I would say 7-8 times out of 10 he got them right. Whether it was team stuff, dealing with player issues, he turfed our legend, one of our legends of our club, one of the goats of football, and I think most United fans kind of are still on his side because of it. So that kind of tells you a lot about what he did last season. It wasn't perfect, though, I will admit, like I said just now, but generally also in-game stuff when we were when things didn't look like they were going well, he affected things positively for the most part. This season is flipped on its head. Like, I think some people argue that he's made the wrong calls with the off-field stuff, Sancho and stuff. I vehemently think he made the right decision with Sancho. I don't agree. But the thing for me that's made me shake a little bit with my confidence in him is his on-the-field stuff. His decision-making when the games are clearly not going well, they haven't worked out positively more times than not. And, we've said it on this pod a bunch of times, and, Carragher, even people that I hate are pointing it out. We don't have a midfield. we're a bagel, we're a donut. You know, we've just got a big hole in the midfield that once you get past our attacking press, you know, you're free reign to just attack our four defenders, who none of them are really good, you know, defending space. So considering that, I'm one of these people where I wouldn't say like Ten Hag out, but I'm equally not saying like vehemently Ten Hag in. I think we've got to see how the rest of the season shakes out, and depending on how it works out, at the end of the day, the board, this new part owner guys, the Ineos lot and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they're going to make their own decision. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably say if we finish sixth, don't win the FA Cup, which, you know, I think is what a lot of us will predict in a minute, he's gone. They'll sack him and they'll get someone else in. And depending on who we get in will probably be the bigger thing that upsets me, because next season, if we did that, I wouldn't be like, get Ten Hag out. I would give him one more season. But I don't know if you think I'm just being a delusional United fan.
No, I think you're right. I'm just going to say that, as he said in a lot of press conferences, that there are a lot of injuries in United that might have affected. I know. I usually make fun of his press conference, but for my United my friends here, I'm just saying, you know, missing especially Sandro Martinez and those key players might have played a part in some of the United losses. I mean, you guys are working with Johnny Evans and some other defenders that are not ideal for a top 4 fight, I would say. So I think injury is probably one part, and the second part is I think this season has been much more competitive compared to last season. So which it might explains why United is doing slightly worse than last season.
Yeah, I think you're being. I mean, you're doing my job for me. And Jonty's going to come in, and he did that.
I'm about to go off. Wait a minute.
For the audio listeners who can't see, Jonty was playing, you know, his best violin throughout. Like Draco's kind of, you know, giving me a bit of a life jacket with some of your what you're saying. I agree with you though. I think the injury stuff it's a double-edged sword, because it's partly true, but you know, at the same time, it's not groundbreaking stuff, because there's been so many teams that have struggled with injuries this season. We can't have the lone violin to act like we've been screwed over more than, let's say, Newcastle or, you know, or something, you know, Brighton even have been decimated by injuries. So I think it's part of the reason, but still, you know, if the thing that I liked about Ten Hag last season was we did have some injuries. We also had Casemiro doing boneheaded things and getting suspensions. So we had some adversity when it came to the first team squad, but he was more flexible. He didn't necessarily try and play the same style with those people, and he worked out a way to not leave us so exposed. But this season, and me and John have talked about it separately, he's just continued down the same path, even when we've been missing certain players that, you know, would affect the style. Which, you know, people are maybe praising, you know, your guys' big rivals in North London for doing the same thing. But when you're getting spanked or you're losing games, or it's just so obviously a big problem, yeah, there's more scrutiny on United. You're going to get hammered. So yeah, Jonty, you've been waiting very patiently. Hit me with the hammer blow. Come on.
No, I mean, on Draco's original question about Ten Hag, I think last season he prioritized results over everything, right? I think, and you have said to me before, like, you do think there was a style of some sort last season and it was relatively effective, which got you to the position that you were in. But since then, he's had a somewhat of not good signings, right? Like, I mean, a couple of them are worked out, but not to the overall benefit of your team. And I would say most of them have actually made your team worse or made your squad depth worse, which is partly the reason why things like injuries will massively affect you. I think your defense, where you didn't really, you know, change too much, actually has been decent this season. The issue is that they're playing under a style that just puts them under crazy amounts of pressure all the time. Yeah. So I think he got transfers wrong. He's got your style wrong, whatever it is, of this high press and then low block at the same time with no one in midfield kind of style. He's got that wrong. And I think generally speaking, he's prioritized results over fixing what is wrong with United, right? Which is, I would say Arteta for the first couple of seasons at least, I would bloody hope he wasn't prioritizing results because we didn't get them. But he prioritized slowly shifting out the terrible players and the terrible parts of the overall structure and filtering back in some good stuff, right? Some good youngsters, some good fringe players that are still around today. I think with United, you guys have always just been results over everything. And I think it's been to your detriment because you look at, I don't want to applaud him very much, but you look at Tottenham, right? He consistently says, what do I care about top four? Right? Like, I'm here to fix this football club and get them to a point where top four is not the goal, it's to win the league. You guys are so focused and so almost righteous in thinking that you deserve to win the league every season and that you have to be the best team in the league every season, that you won't realize that you need to just rebuild your team. And in order to do that, you need to prioritize a style that works with a manager that's good and fix the rest of the things in the club, right? Like if you get the FA Cup this season, I think it could be the worst thing that ever happens to you because it's just another addition to what is already a very entitled fan base that thinks they deserve to win even when they're having one of their worst seasons ever. So I actually think go and lose the FA Cup. As long as City aren't getting another treble, just go and lose it. Let Ten Hag get shifted out. Let Ashworth and whoever else come in and just fix your club and realise that you guys are in the mud and get back out of the mud before you start trying to pick up trophies.
No, I hear you, but I think, you know, I've had this back and forth, so maybe Draco, it would be good to get your opinion, but I think one of the greatest triumphs of Arsenal's last 4 years, you haven't really picked up any I know Arteta got the FA Cup early doors, but like, you know, like big major trophies, is your board's confidence and belief and support that they've given the manager, right? Because I think you're right, Johns. Arteta had a harder job with Deadwood and big egos and all this kind of stuff in the club to try and transform your team to where you are right now. But I tell you what, if he was doing that at Man U, he would have been sacked very, very early on because our board doesn't have that confidence, right? There's no way they would have, you know, supported a manager through what was the right thing and the right process. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that the new guys that they're building around, I'm not even worried about Ten Hag. That's why the Ten Hag question, I get it, Draco. It makes sense because the football's been weird and not good. But my thing is I'm not even bothered about him. My thing is just worried about getting that football structure right. And then whatever decisions they make, you know what? We'll see whether they're right or not. But whether they decide to keep Ten Hag or not, I'm okay.
And I think Draco's in a perfect position to answer this, right? Back in like 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, right? Mm-hmm. Did Arsenal fans have the entitlement to think that we deserve to win? And did that then contribute to them saying, okay, we'll give Arteta a chance? Because what you're saying, Ants, is essentially, right, Arteta would never have survived at United. And that's not necessarily just because of the board. That's because of the fan pressure that they put on the board because they think that they deserve to win something. I think Draco, as an Arsenal fan, you tell me, I have not had high expectations for the last 15 years, right? Maybe for the first 5 I did, but for the last 10, 15, my expectations were in the absolute mud.
Yeah, so I think same here. I mean, I think we went to Europa final, which I hope that
that was painful.
Yeah, I think my head was spinning watching the end of the game. And after that, I think, I probably just gave up the hope that we will win really or any major trophies for the next 4 or 5 years, which was rightly so, because if we look at our squad like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not going to single out any players, but I just thought that this is not a squad that we're going to win Premier League. So, yeah.
No, you know what, man? I actually think this is why this podcast exists for us anyway, John. So obviously it's a hobby, but also because I actually think the Arsenal, like you guys, seem like very grounded, like, you know, logical fans. But no, we've got them definitely. Man, there's a lot of Man U fans out here that are entitled, that believe we should win everything, that are hating all of this and are melting down every week. Arsenal. There were Arsenal fans like that. There were Arteta out shirts everywhere. Social media was full of them. A lot of Arsenal fans were going big on getting Arteta out early doors. So I actually think the fan pressure would be quite similar for Man U and Arsenal. I think the big kicker is you change your senior leadership. I think it was Josh Kroenke came in, right, the son of Stan, and they actually worked on the club. They got Edu in, which I think he's been revelation as well. I don't think Arteta only gets the credit. I think he's done amazing as well, and they've worked really well. And I think that duo and the belief that you've given they've not done it all, because you still have to do it on the pitch. You have to get the right players. Arteta has to do the right tactical things, but it's all together. And we haven't had that. Like the stuff you mentioned, Johns, is all indicative of our board. An FA Cup, by the way, will not matter. We've seen Louis van Gaal get sacked 5 minutes after an FA Cup. So they care about Champions League, which we're not going to get. So that would be more the deciding factor in our current leadership. But we've got a new one. So they're in the middle of forming it. So let's see how it goes. My prediction on the season, I think we'll end up 6th. We're definitely not going up, and I would be more worried about going down from there. So, but I'm gonna stay confident that we'll S-house enough results to stay in 6th. And the teams below us, Newcastle, I love sticking in on Newcastle. They've been stinking it up. And, West Ham, up and down. I don't think any of those teams will be able to. They might make it close, but I think we'll just about nick 6th. But, Draco, where do you think we'll finish? Do you think it will be 6th, or do you think we'll keep dropping?
I think I was going to say you guys could probably finish 5th as well. You might call me crazy, but I feel like you guys might just go for the Europa. This Sunday, hopefully, we'll beat Aston Villa, and I feel like Villa might drop a few points, and then, if I'm being very optimistic for you, maybe Europa will be.
You're being so kind. You're being so kind. But I hear you. I've also said Villa have been looking shaky. So if there's an outside chance at all, it would be them. I don't think Spurs, sadly for you guys, are going to flop it that badly. But even then, I just think the gap's so big. Like Villa would literally have to do a Leicester of 5 years ago when they were 3rd and somehow finished 5th for us to get close. So yeah. I think 6th is probably right. Johns, you're definitely going to say lower, aren't you?
No, actually, so I think there's a master plan here, and I saw it the other day. I think a delusional Man United fan tweeted it. If I can't remember what it was, but if West Ham win the Europa League, and I can't remember if they finish, I can't remember where it was, but if they finish 5th and win the Europa League, then there's another extra Champions League spot or something like that. So I'm thinking. I think, to be honest with you, I'm all jokes aside, I think you'll probably finish 6th. I think the teams below you, there's no one that seems to be really coming up the rear, really strong in any kind of capacity. I think everyone's kind of a bit stinky around that area. A lot of them have been having poor results recently. A lot of them have dropped off a lot. Newcastle, West Ham, Brighton, none of them look like a massive threat to you, really. And I think really most of that area will probably finish up where they are right now. The only thing is, if Villa really drop off, which is entirely possible because some of the results I've seen from them recently have been shocking outside of the game that they just played against Lille. Their Premier League results have not been very good. And long may that continue. I hope that continues at least for this weekend. But if they have a real terrible run of games, then there's every chance you could come 5th. But yeah, I think 6th is a safe bet.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I'm hoping, I'm praying, man. I think that's the best we can do, and we'll focus on what we have in the FA Cup. Let's go on the Champions League then. What do you guys think? Obviously, there was a big game. We won't delve into that too much, but do you guys think, do you think your Champions League run will end in the quarterfinals, or are you hopeful of going to the next round or winning it? Like Draco, how do you think this Champions League will play out for you?
I think it's a hard question. I picked this football shirt to wear just to fit the Champions League theme. Look, I think before we played against Bayern, I was being very optimistic to my Arsenal fans, saying that 5 more wins, we'll win the Champions League. I'm just don't get me on that. That's just me being very optimistic. I think if we try really hard, the second leg will probably beat Bayern. If Arteta plays tactics right. But then having watched Real Madrid and City's game, I don't see us beating them. They're so clinical. They're so mature. I don't think we'll have a chance to go past them. But if we do that, I think final will be easier for us. So I think I'll be happy if we go past Bayern and then just
Champions League final will be easy for us, yeah. If we get past them, okay. I'm loving the confidence.
No.
Even the other side, man. I worry about Atletico. I worry about everybody, bro.
I mean, I hear it though. Like on paper, the side that you guys are in is all-time hellish. Because I honestly believe the 4 best teams left in the competition are in your side. So I get it. You get through the hardest, side of the draw. The teams left are. In quality terms, I think you guys are better. But Jonty makes a fair point. Like getting Simeone in the Champions League final is what nightmares are made of. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night thinking of that because the S-housery that will be on show, that will all-time levels. But I actually agree with you, man. I think semi-finals is where you guys will bow out. I think you'll find a way. You've made it hard for yourself. But I think you'll find a way in the quarterfinal. But I think just that Real Madrid, Man City, they're not perfect. Neither one of those teams are not perfect. But they're just quality on show. They're just maturity. I think might be one step too far for you guys. Because I think Champions League Arsenal have been different than Premier League Arsenal. I think there's, you guys are still finding your feet in Europe, I think. And that would be. I mean, I'll tell you what. If you get through them, I don't know. I would probably be like Draco. I would be next level confident because that it would take some big time cojones to get through those 2 ties to get to the final. I could understand just riding away for confidence, but I think semi-finals is probably where you guys will shake out. What do you think, John? So are you gonna go all scary and think your quarterfinals out or what?
No, I agree with Draco. I think like we have enough to beat Bayern. It's just the question is, will everything else around that time be going well for us to really focus on that? I think if we beat Bayern, I want City. I really don't want to play Real Madrid because I think Real Madrid. I mean, talk about having like heritage and all that, right? Like Bayern Munich, all-time stinky Bayern Munich right now, still have that heritage element, that vibes element that they don't have to be good. They can have a manager that's been announced is leaving at the end of the season and still somehow, get 2 goals against us and make us look terrible. So times that by 20 and then you've got Real Madrid, right? It's just absolute unbelievable in terms of like individual brilliance, but then they've got Carlo Ancelotti who's been there, done it a million times before, and they've got just the heebie-jeebies of being like so successful in the Champions League. So I'm going to say we go out I reckon we go out in the semis, and I think it will probably be to Real because I think Real will actually go and beat City at the Etihad. So if we lose to Real, like I'm not going to be all that bothered, but I really need us to maintain this like winning streak over City, that like mental edge. And if we go and play them in the semi-final and lose, mental edge gone. So I think we'll go out in the semis to Real.
Yeah, I just hate all English ties in the Champions League, and generally when we've been in them, we've done all right. Like we played the Champions League semi-finals all those years ago, but like. I remember Liverpool played Chelsea non-stop during the like Mourinho Benitez era, and while it was kind of intriguing, I don't know. I just feel like it's not. You don't want to win the Champions League with too many like big games against your Premier League rivals. I remember when we played Chelsea in the Champions League final that last time we won it, and knowing you have to then play, your Prem rival and deep in the Champions League, it can have an effect on the title, like you said. It definitely can affect it in a way. So I think probably semi-finals is fair. Let's get on to the FA Cup stuff then. My only bit of hope, joy, potentially, of the season. We're playing Coventry. My God, if we don't win that, I might have to like sit football out for a little bit and go to like Bali or something and do like some sort of wellness retreat for a while, because I don't know if I can handle that. So I think we're going to get through. We'll play City, and I think we'll lose in the final to Man City. So that's my prediction. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think it's a final defeat to City again, 2 years in a row. Not fun times. But what do you think, Draco?
Yeah, given that if you guys go past Coventry, because I had a look, I think they're doing pretty. I see Jonty laughing over there. I think Coventry's been doing quite well in Championship this season. They've beat Watford and Leeds United. Obviously Wolverhampton as well. So I think, yeah, if you guys can go past Coventry, if I were you, I would be optimistic. I think that maybe United will be able to win the final against City. You never know. So that's
I love that.
That's how you
that.
know
if you get past Coventry, who are doing really well in the Championship.
Oh my God, this is how you know we're such pigsty settings that like people are chucking if before we play Coventry. Like it's I get it though. I'm not even mad at you, Draco. I get it. We stink. So it's a prime banana skin situation, isn't it? But I just hope the occasion will be so big, and that the Coventry players will kind of get a bit overawed, and our maturity or our kind of experience will take us over the line. But I'm not ruling it out. I don't think it's impossible. I would be shocked and I'll be so devastated, but I don't think it's impossible.
But jokes aside, I think if United can get to the final and if they're playing in City, I wouldn't say that City would definitely win the final. It'll be a 50-50 game. I know United, but that's everything left for them. So they'll probably go out there and try to win the final as well. I don't think City has been doing that well in those big games. Haaland's been quiet. I think De Bruyne hasn't been fully fit. So you've got reasons to be optimistic.
No, I don't know if you're setting me up for failure, man. I don't know if you're just setting me up.
Get him up and then slap him down.
But I hear you though. You're right though. I'm worried about Foden, because last time when we played them in the league, I know Haaland missed an open goal from it was crazy. Like he missed that he like 9 times out of 10 he scores it. But apart from that, he was very quiet. And we've got rubbish centre backs. We haven't got Saliba or Gabriel or anyone like that. We've got rubbish, right? You pointed that out earlier, and we managed to keep him pretty quiet. So I'm not even that worried about Haaland. If you remember the FA Cup last year, Haaland didn't out either. It was Gundogan that destroyed us that day. So I'm more worried about Foden, just because it seems like he's developing this like big game gene. Like he scored an unbelievable goal in the Bernabeu. He's been like kind of their big standout player this season. So I hear you though. I think we've got a chance in the final, but I don't know if I'd go as high as 50-50. I think that might be being kind to us. What do you think, Johns? Do you think we're going out to Coventry, or do you think we're winning it?
I would love to see it. No, I would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think you will get to the final. And really, the thing that I would love to see the most is Man United against Chelsea in the final, because I want to see Cole Palmer come up against you guys again, because that was fun. And also, just for the general love of football, like I've said before, watching City and even sometimes Arsenal is not all that fun, right? Like from a neutral perspective, because it's total domination in a lot of cases, right? And so, like when you see Man City play Arsenal, for example, it's not a very exciting game for the most part, because they're kind of cancelling each other out. So if we really want to have a very enjoyable watch, then I would say United against Chelsea is probably the most enjoyable, even team kind of match you can find. I think if Coventry go through, they're getting slapped regardless by it doesn't matter who. So I think we'll get
Coventry
to the final.
Got a chance against Chelsea. Coventry got a chance against.
Yeah, but that would be laughable, because Chelsea would just kick the ball into their own net 3 times and
yeah, but I mean, I'm not trying to banter Chelsea fans that badly, right? Like you beat us last week in El Madico, but Chelsea have played Championship teams already like 2 or 3 times in this FA Cup run and struggled. So like when we've played the lower teams, we've actually done all right. Like I know we had that Fleetwood game or wherever it was where they equalised for a brief moment, but we went on to win. But Chelsea have been like that. That would not be a given. Obviously, I think they'd still win, But if City play Coventry, that's done. That's completely over.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, man. For the neutral, and I think that would be a real 50-50. United-Chelsea would be a real 50-50. And I would be bricking it throughout the whole, the whole game. Because if it's anything like that last league game, I might have a stroke. Because I think it was
chaos.
absolute it was madness. Absolute madness, that game.
But I agree with Draco. If you go through and play City in the final, it's a lot closer than everyone will say it is. I think you still have that mental thing where you can give Liverpool and City and Arsenal a hard game, even if you're in the worst season of your absolute history. So I do imagine you'd lose it though, just because of like overall quality. They've got, as you said, I think it's not the Haalands you need to worry about. It's the creative players like the Fodens, the Bernardo Silvas, the De Bruynes. They're the ones that are going to cause you issues. And because your midfield is almost non-existent on the defensive end. So yeah, I predict you're going to lose the final to City as well, unfortunately. And I just hope it's not to give them the treble.
Yeah, I mean, a double treble would kill me. Like, one treble already hurt. Like, if you've watched
it would be the double
podcast,
treble, and they would have won the Premier League 4 times in a row. So they would have done 2 things that you could never have done. So,
yeah, this is why I'm on loan to Arsenal. It's logical. It's logical, guys. I can't have that. It would just destroy me. But anyway, that's enough of talking about our teams. Obviously one very good and one absolute rubbish. Let's go on to the next section of the pod.